trained African dance. If you allow yourself, your body to respond to the call of the drum. So as we leave you guys, I need you to take this pledge with me. Raise your right hand. The other, for some of y'all, the other right. I need you to repeat after me. I will listen to my elders. Remember my ancestors. Eat more vegetables. And drink more water. And say no to drugs. And be the best that I can be. With love, peace, respect for everybody. Love, peace, respect for everybody. So before I leave, I want to introduce you right quick to everybody that's up here. To my right, I have Mama Kelly. I have Solo, Baba Solomon. I have Bakari Blackman, Bakari the Black Man. You coming with us, bro? Let's put your hands together for the keynote speaker. Who also is the drummer in the house? And to my far right, Mama Portia. And my name is Mama Upsetua. And together we make up what we call Kumbuka, which means to remember. We want you to remember. Remember this transaction and keep it holy. Remember that we are divine. When we see one another, we should see the God in us. So do that first before you see something else. And do it with love and peace. Respect for everybody. And I'm living my best life. Yeah. What's wrong with you? I'm living my best life. Yes, y'all give it up for Kumbuka Dance Troupe all the way from New Orleans, Louisiana. Put your hands together. Yeah. I know some of y'all didn't get up, but I saw some of y'all dancing in y'all seat. We'll take it. Yes, indeed. So now we're coming close to the end. I want to bring up Brother Umar Bey. Brother Umar Bey.
All right. The boss.
I saw him a second ago.
Umar.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, I would like to remind you that we do have food. Please stay around. Make sure you get a plate. Make sure you support every single last one of the vendors that's out there, myself included. Pachet's Butter Souffle. We got Ghost Mitchell out there with his art. We have people selling jewelry. We have We Three Kings that's out there. So make sure you support. We got some fantastic things out there, fantastic gifts. So make sure you support. And make sure you get you some food. All right, Brother Umar Bey is going to give us our farewell statement.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Well, time to go, time to eat, okay? I want to thank you for coming out. Make sure you thank the Africentric Focus, my group sister, Namzamo. Queen of Namzamo, please stand up. Brother Baye, you stand with the Queen. For 30 years, they have been hosting this program. Dr. Ragley, the whole group, has been putting together for our community this event. I want to thank you so much, Sister Nzamo, for all you do for us. We love you, we appreciate you. Brother Washington, Brother Dakuna, I want to thank you for coming out. Children, parents, fellow parents, thank you so much for bringing your children out here. You're crucial. Children, thank you so much for coming with your parents, being obedient. Dr. Andrews, Southern University, thank you for this wonderful building. Look, we are. It's Christmas. The school is closed, but we're here. Thank you, Dr. Andrews. Thank you. Okay. Right now, Brother Dakuna, Shabazz, come up. So we turn to the other side.
Abarigani brothers and sisters, we have come to the end of the program, but we have not come to the end of our spiritual growth and development. In the beginning of the program, we summoned the ancestors to be with us, and they have come. How do we know they have come? Because we can feel the spirit in this room by the spirit of the organizers of this group who gave time and energy to organize this culturally, historical, and spiritually rich environment. So we know the spirit of our ancestors was here. We know the spirit of our ancestors was here because we heard him through the mouth of our guest speaker, Brother Mawata, and he left us with the wisdom and the understanding of our spirit as Black and African people. That's a confirmation that our ancestral spirit was with us. We know that the spirit of the ancestors was with us because of your presence and the discipline in which you have shown. The energy to want to know more about yourself is proof that the ancestors was here. So we leave tonight letting the ancestors go back to their spiritual dwelling. And we leave the ancestors with the firm knowledge and understanding that we leave tonight with the Ubuntu spirit, my spirit. Their spirit is linked with our spirit, the Ubuntu spirit. And we have gotten the message, and the message is still one as given to us by Marcus Mosiah Garvey. As a Black and African people, he said to us, up, 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 your mighty Black nation. You can accomplish what you will under one God, one aim, and one destiny. In the Ubuntu spirit, brothers and sisters, if you agree what I said, simply say, Ashe. Ashe. Thank you.
All right, greetings everybody.
Greetings.
Next, we're going to do the Harambe. All right, so first I want to ask elders, do I have your permission to speak? Yes. Thank you. All right, so Harambe means to pull together. And we do it just like this, okay? So we do it 7 times, and on the 7th time, we hold the note as long as we possibly can to resemble our strength together. All right, we ready? Ready. All right. Harambe! 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 Harambe!
You guys, make sure you support the vendors. Make sure you get your plates. We want to give a major shout out again to our sponsors, MAAT, Allstate, Agnes Andrews. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Namzamo's Fashions, where you look good in Namzamo's clothes. Pyramid, Judge Lisa Woodruff White. We thank you so much. Hana LLC, Alicia Edwards, Tara Marshall, and Sankofa Educational Studies Institute. Sankofa Alpha, Evelyn Johnson. Kemet, Parishioners LLC, Patsy Godfrey. Thank you so much. God bless and good night. Make sure you support your vendors.
Yes, sir.
What do you say? All right. We plan to. Gotcha. Black on it.
Yeah, I guess Khadijah didn't come, huh?
No, she didn't come. I'm gonna tell her. I'll tell her you said hi. Happy Kwanzaa! The brothers from Ethiopia. Can they take one with them?
Come together now, it's Kwanzaa time.
My shop owner, I want your business. What must I do to convince you that I'm here to service you? I live in the neighborhood, and my ways are just as good. Why don't you come and support me the way you know you should?
We can help ourselves with Ujama. Sister, we can help ourselves with Ujama. Brother, we can help ourselves with Ujama. Sister, we can help ourselves with Ujama.
I'm a working mother. I don't have much money. I try to spend my pennies in my community. A big businessman, you know he thinks he's free, 'cause he makes a lot of money, but he's black like me. He bought a big house on the hill, away from the likes of me. He makes all of his money off of us, you see, but he never reinvests in our community. Tell me, why won't he invest in our community?
I a man with a product and they plan. Me need money to have the plan expand. The bank say no when I ask for help. Where are my brothers who got all their wealth? They say God bless the child who's got his own. Though a child be blessed, he can't do much alone. Who can I turn to if I can't count on you? What is a small businessman to do?
We can help ourselves with Ujama. Sister, we can help ourselves with Ujama. Brother, we can help ourselves with Ujama. Sister, we can help ourselves with Ujama.
Cooperative economics. Cooperative economics. Cooperative economics. Cooperative economics. Cooperative
We can help ourselves with Ujama. Sister, we can help ourselves with Ujama. Brother, we can help ourselves with Ujama. Sister, we can help ourselves with Ujama.
Everything we buy, we sell. Everything we need, we make. Everyone that works gets paid.
Name. Before we begin, of course, we want to make sure that it is appropriate, acceptable to the elders in the space that we actually proceed in an orderly fashion. Is it okay that we proceed, elders? But an elder somewhere heard the vibrations, felt something that I said, please, can we continue? Thank you very much. Now, this microphone is just for show, I suppose. No, it actually works. It is an extreme challenge to actually talk, to speak at this time. Oh, excuse me. She wants me to go all the way up there. I just knew I was going to be cordless, jump around. I was going to break. I was going to, you know, so anyway, I want to say that it is a challenge to talk at this time for a variety of reasons. One reason is that you all have been sitting here, some of y'all before 7. And you all were here when I got here and you smelt the food come in. And you are contemplating what that food is going to taste like. And you would like to do so before you get too tired to eat. I don't know if we can get too tired, but I know we can get a little bit tired to eat. So, Trey, would you, what's happening with the, so that's one challenge. The other challenge is that when you are invited into someone's home, it is appropriate to be in decency and in order. Brother Baye and Sister Namzamo invited me to come to share something, to share a word. This is not the most important part of the Kwanzaa celebration. The part that I do is so minor. The Kwanzaa celebration, in its truest sense, occurred for this event a long time ago. And this moment is so minor in the total panorama of what Kwanzaa is all about that I'm just simply trying to find some way to harness some words to be able to allow them to come through me, to be able to enter into you so that you can continue on the mission that you have been divinely ordained to be upon. Is that okay, brothers and sisters? It is the idea of understanding that we are on a continuum as we continue this particular chord right now. Go ahead. I'm going to add a chord to the chord. That was by design. That was a part of the prop to show you that we are an extension of one another. Okay. So, thank you. So it is a challenge because this is only a small portion. Some people become so caught up into themselves thinking that this moment of speaking is simply all about them. This is not about me. This is about us. As my brother said before, I do not dare be long, but I want to make sure that I'm strong. I want to make sure that I honor not only Brother Baye and Sister Namzamo, but I want to make sure that I honor Madia and Big Mama and Paw and Uncle Joe and Uncle Buck and Aunt Eva May. Oh, Lord, she can make some good gumbo. I want to make sure that what I do here is pleasing to them. I want to make sure that what happens in this moment, just a setup here for it, just a setup, and I promise you all, we will be eating. Say, we will eat. Real soon. Lord, help him get through so we can eat real soon. I want to make sure that all that I do is pleasing to those brothers and sisters who've been with me on the journey, those who I have been able to interact with, Brother Abin Kizier, Brother Reginald Rackley. There are others who we have been together trying to make sure in our time that we understand what it means to be and what are we here to become. I want to make sure that I honor Olodumare, Amasi, Anyame, Nkulukulu. I want to make sure that I honor all of the names of the Creator that our ancestors have called out before us because I want to make sure that what I do is divine. I want to also make sure that what I do is respectable to those that are yet to come. Those who are saying that today must be better than it was yesterday. I recognize somebody scratched their head and says, yes, sir, so that one day we can say, hell no. I want to share with you all that the process is not plugged in. There we go. It's plugged in. That was also part of this. In order to get a good connection in life, it is imperative that you plug in to the source. Is that all right? Okay, so you can't. There was this person who was trying to iron the clothes in the hotel, and what happened is that she called housekeeping to come get the iron to figure out why is this iron broken. They said, lady, look, the iron is not plugged in to the source. That's what we have to recognize, is that in order to iron out some wrinkles in our life, we got to do what? Plug into the what? All right, so you got to plug into the source. So I'll talk about that. So here we have the idea of Kwanzaa. Is one that was born not only in the context of the American. Something happened. Hold on, Trey. Something's wrong with that screen, that lens. I don't like this. It's thank you. It worked fine. There we go. In order to see, you have to have clear vision. There's a whole lot of metaphors jumping out in this piece, right? Because it's bad to not have good vision, clear vision. The word nia is a key Swahili term that looks at this idea of commitment to purpose, devotion to building, and it has a component to it that is both not only reactive, but it is active. When you look at the word, the definition that Dr. Karinga used here, you see that it is about building a vocation, developing, defending our community, its culture, and it talks about regain, to go back. I want to be clear that a person's purpose is bigger than simply trying to react, but a person's purpose is contingent upon them actually taking action. I'm not gonna metaphor this one. In order to get change in life, you must be able to communicate effectively. So, on purpose, we know that Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune suggested to us that we are custodians as well as heirs of greatness, great civilization. We understand that Dr. Frantz Fanon says that each generation out of relative obscurity must discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. And the Odu Ifa suggests to us that surely humans were chosen to bring a good into the world. The question becomes, where did this greatness come from? Before we address that particular question, let's look at this. We talk about Dr. Karinga, and we see that Kwanzaa is a manifestation of his purpose. Now, before I talk to you all today, the reporter showed me an article suggesting to me that somebody's saying that Kwanzaa is losing its particular grasp or losing its significance in the black community. And I happen to have read the book, got the book in my bag right now by Keith Mays, that they extracted information from, twisted it for their own purpose, and told a lie. Mays did say in his book that there was a shift in the 1990s with multiculturalism of Kwanzaa, but he did not say that it was losing its significance. Somebody continues to want to spin a lie and suggest to me what in the hell I ought to be observing each year. Somebody wants to always recommend to me that what I'm engaged in is somehow irrelevant. I went to a particular part. This is science, I promise y'all. But just bear with me this one. I was teaching at a school in Florida 2 years ago. They had a Christmas party. Now, that's not different what we think about Christmas. That's not the point I want to get at. The point I want to get to is that y'all do know that in the black community, there are certain songs that we know occur in December. No matter if you observe Christmas or not, we know hang all the mistletoe, right? Right? We do know, what do the lonely do, right? We know those songs. We know that the radio plays those songs. Well, I went to the party, y'all. And they had a Christmas party, some other folks. It wasn't like us, there were some other folks. And there was no music playing. I've never been to a Christmas party with no music. Everybody said, hey, they're just talking. I don't understand this. That's not a part of who I am. But what really happened here is that this individual asked me, so, what do you think about Kwanzaa? So I began to explain to him what I thought about Kwanzaa, what it meant to African people, and I share more with you through this presentation. But he said, well, sure, you know, I have a black friend, and they think that Kwanzaa's made up. You have one black friend, and they said Kwanzaa was made up. I said, what holiday isn't made up? Right? Who didn't make up? Every single holiday that we observe was made up. But what I did leave him with was this. I said, do you understand that the idea of holiday is based on ancient African civilization that developed the particular calendar on the construct of 36 days with 36 weeks, 10 days each. 36 times 10 equals 360. That the entire year is based on African calendar, a reality that says that we have 360 days in every year. And that the 5 remaining days that are left are holy days of worship. So every time you use holiday, you acknowledge in Africa as a reality. And so you observe an African reality. So when you tell me that Kwanzaa is made up, you are only suggesting that you're ignorant about your own who you are as a person. That every time we look at holiday, we are talking about an African reality. Is this making sense, brothers and sisters? So the idea of made up, they said that we must observe these 5 days of worship to say that we will do nothing but acknowledge the fact that we are connected to a source greater than ourselves. And that we will walk in the power of knowing who we are. And with that power, we will determine who we will become in the future. Ashe? So don't tell me that Kwanzaa was made up. I want you to explain to me, where did Columbus Day come from? I want you to explain to me, where did the Christmas tree come from? I want you to explain to me, who is Santa Claus? And tell me, what are they tied to? They're tied to a cultural reality. You want to erase me out of existence, and you want me to honor you more than I honor myself, and to that I say, hell no. It is the process of understanding that we have been divinely ordained for this moment, and this moment is our moment. And so if we have a time now that's contemporized with Kwanzaa and symbols and iconography that help us to reconnect with ourselves based on what has been taken away from us, then we have this moment today. Don't let anybody suggest to you that somehow this is some kind of African mythological party and parading as truth and tradition. Every tradition that is created is based on something that is needed by the people at that time. This is needed by us at this time for a reason. And we will share part of that reason. I went off, excuse me. So, I was not going there. So, Dr. Karinga says we must restore African people to their greatness, revitalize them, help them to locate who they are, centralize them. That's what Kwanzaa is about. It is not about trying to put on some African clothes and going around talking about Habara Ghana. It is about something deeper than that. Right. The reason why folks have a difficult time with saying the word Kuji Chagalia, I can't say Kuji Chagalia. I can't say. Why? Because when you begin to honor the vibration and the frequency with which a word is spoken, it begins to resonate with your soul and spirit and moves you in a certain direction. Think I'm lying. How many times have you seen somebody find and you say, That was not a single word spoken. That was what? Vibration. My grandmother got on the phone one day with my mama and said, let me tell you what that boy did. My brother said what? Same vibration had a different intonation and had a different reverberation, meaning that it meant something differently. The point is that vibration and frequencies move us in a certain direction, and we'll talk about that. So when people try to take your language and take your holidays and celebrations, they try to take your essence, and never should we allow them to take our essence away from us. Trying to tell me what is made up. Well, it's made up. Yeah, all right. So, Kwanzaa, in its context, is about creating a ritual space. Kwanzaa is a construct that is contemporary and is ancient. Though there is no space that you can visit on the continent of Africa that celebrates Kwanzaa like this, you will find African people recognizing who they are through their ancestral lineage. As a matter of fact, you will find every civilization honoring its ancestral lineage. Anytime you pull out a dollar bill, a $10 bill, a $5 bill, you are honoring an ancestor. Is that not a picture on that money? Holla at me. That is an ancestral observance. The first time that I saw a black man on some money, I thought the money was fake. Why? Because I had been conditioned to believe that the only people that had value and worth to be on money had been what? European. That is, I honored the ancestors more than I honored my own. There's a problem with that. Have to recognize there's a process. We have had celebrations for a long time in this country about Emancipation Day, about how to consolidate ourselves, how to move forward. This is not a new thing for us in this space. We have to understand that Kwanzaa is about a recall of greatness, live with dignity. And the founding of Kwanzaa is this. It comes when Dr. Karinga starts the organization in California. And Brother Kar Damu gives Maulana Karinga's daughter Tanayi a black doll in December Christmas 1965. Dr. Karinga says, brother, I appreciate the doll, but we don't celebrate Christmas. At that point, Dr. Karinga was trying to figure out what to say, and so Brother Damu said, you know what do we celebrate? It is within the context of Dr. Karinga having an existential dilemma that he begins to draw upon his ancestral connection and his historical information and begins to create this thing called Kwanzaa. It was a part of his purpose. I'm going to share this part and then I'm going to move forward. In order to understand purpose, you must go back to the time. Septepi, the beginning. If we understand that we are a creation that we come from a billion of possible sperm cells united with one egg cell to create life. That fertilized egg was known as a zygote. That zygote became a blastocyst. The blastocyst was an embryo, a fetus, and an infant. And if we understand that the endoderm, ectoderm, and mesoderm begin to form, that which would later become known as the muscles, the bone mass, that which would be known as the skin, was formed at the moment of conception, then we understand that something about us is powerful and divine. The question is that even though we know that the sperm was the sperm, my question is that how did the sperm cell know how to find the egg? How did the egg know how to receive the sperm cell? How did y'all talk about this in biology, y'all, we got to deal with this. We got to deal with this because we can throw around all kind of N-words to one another and B's, and we can have whole songs, them niggas, right? Talk about how divine we are. It's a whole nother discussion. I don't want to hear that, right? But where my holes at, we can talk about, we can, we can shake and all kind of drop and all kind of stuff. All right, so let's deal with the divine essence of substance. The question is, how did they know how to connect? What happened with out of 1 million cells that made it to that one egg, why did that one penetrate it, and why did the other remaining turn it counterclockwise? Understand that as it turns it counterclockwise, that the earth turns which direction? Counterclockwise. And there's a problem there because if the clock came after the earth, then the clock really turns counter-earthwise. Y'all deal with that one later. So what happens is that we must recognize that inside of the womb there was divinely ordained substance that called us into being for this moment called now. And that inside of the womb we began to form arms, and yet there was nothing to do. Legs formed, there was nowhere to walk to. Eyes formed, nothing to see. Ears formed, nothing to hear. Mouth formed, nothing to taste because food is coming in here. The idea is that everything that we needed for this journey of success called life, we were given inside of the womb. We have no business coming out of the womb and somehow being ignorant of our purpose and allowing others to define for us who we ought to be. I don't know who I am, what's my purpose. It was given to you in the womb. What amazed me about my first child especially is that when she was born, she had fingernails. You say, what's so big about that? What are you scratching in the womb? Nothing. Every detail was etched out for her, so when she came out, she was prepared to be victorious. It is my job to guide her and to allow her to flourish in her purpose. And what's beautiful about it is that as she was born, she elevated me to parent, so she raised me as I am raising her in purpose. Y'all got that? So we have no business playing small. We have to understand ancestral memory connection. I don't have time to talk about all of this, but what I do want to share with you is about this idea of ancestor communion. It is that through ancestor communion we acknowledge and affirm that we are one immortal. When we get to that particular point, it's a whole other discussion that we can have with the world. You can't kill anything that you didn't destroy. If I'm a seed of a seed of a seed of the seed of a seed of the seed, then you can't touch this. If we recognize that every female that is born in this room was born with all the eggs that she'll ever carry in her entire life, that means that the woman that gave birth to a child is really giving birth to her own grandchildren at the same time. If it's female, that means that every woman in this room is divine and sacred. Listen to what I just said. If every woman in this room is born with all the eggs that she'll ever carry in her entire life, the woman that gives birth to her is actually giving birth to her own grandchildren. Is that making sense? Which means then that I cannot destroy that which I did not create. The woman is sacred and divine, immortal, that we are cultural, that we are human, that we are collective, that we are genetic racial material, that through ancestor communion we share a collective consciousness, that there's something within us that knows some stuff. And don't nobody have to tell us because we know. I remember going towards the table and my mother saying, don't you go and you know better. I'm like, how do you know I know better? Because see, I know what's in you. Is this making sense? I knew I was wrong, but how did I know I was wrong? I knew I was wrong. Is that making sense? Like you know when you're right. That's right. You knew he wasn't right and you went out with him anyway. Is that all right? I knew he was right. You knew. All right. But I just love, he's so, yeah. So anyway. We gain access to intuitive knowledge is that through ancestor communion, we live in many times and also we live beyond the time. It is that link, is that connection that we have with eternity. Is that through ancestral communion, we begin to understand that everything we do is not only for us, but it is for our great, 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 great grandchildren. Somebody in my family sat and waited for pig guts to come out of a pig and cook it so that I could come along and make a choice not to do that. You cannot convince me that my ancestor sat and watched that hog and says, Lord, I can't wait for them guts to come out. Did not happen. It was the SOLE food, soul food that was left, that was transformed by their SOUL to make it into a substance to be consumed so that I could be here. Why? Because it was all that was left. And the reason they did it is because they said that my baby, my grandbaby, my great-grandbaby will come behind me and do something so profound and so different that I must go on today for them. It is not for me that I eat the snout, the ears, the tail, the feet. It is for those that are yet to come. We must recognize that we are a manifestation of those that have come before us. Are we walking in the power and the hopes and the vision of those that have come before us who went through that so that we could be here? Or are we spitting on their graves by not manifesting our purpose today? We have to be clear about what our purpose is. Oh, yes, we try to find ways to exist in comfortable captivity. We try to find ways to try to navigate. We do a whole lot of stuff that is foolish. But there are those that said that there's somebody coming behind me. And it is for them that I do what I do. And I don't love what I do, but I'm doing it because I have to do it. That's the divine essence of African spirit. We connect with ancestors because they remind us of who and what we are. We also know that we must avenge the Nansamomfo of the spirit, those who are violated. We must live in a manner that says that we will resurrect and elevate them because they went through what they went through so that we could be here. They taught us some wonderful things. We understand that we must nation build. So I want to be clear that if we want to have the peace of mind that we desire to have, don't look around and talk about, Lord, what's wrong, what's happening to people around us. What ritual have you performed to create a reconnection with those that have gone before you today? What do you do daily that helps you to recognize your purpose, your ori? The reason we lose touch with who we are is because of what I call persistent enslavement systemic trauma. Don't get it twisted about this post-traumatic slave syndrome. Post-traumatic slave syndrome is based on post-traumatic stress syndrome. The idea that somehow we have gone through an event and we've come out of it. Post means it is over. There is nothing post about the trauma that I receive on a daily basis as a black man. There's no post-trauma. It's always trauma. What do I name my child so that they can have the spoils of this space? How do I dress? How do I talk? What do I look like? What school do I go to? Trauma. How to wear my hair. Let a woman come in with natural hair. Ooh, what's wrong with you? Natural hair. What's wrong with you? Hold on, slick. What's wrong? That's just what the hair does. It's just doing what it do. Ain't wrong. It's just doing what it do, y'all. It's just making sense. But we ask the question, what's wrong with you? We have to be clear that when we make decisions to do things in order to experience a degree of comfort, it is a manner of trauma because we know that if we don't, we will be excommunicated from certain choice experiences. I had a student come up to me after I mentioned this in class and says, you know what, Dr. Washington, my parents named me Brittany so that then people wouldn't really know. I said, Brittany. Guess what? Eventually they will see your black behind and they will know. And Brittany just fell out laughing because she knew. And we all knew what happened. We all engaged in that, the process. That's trauma. While other folks can simply try to be, we're trying to figure out how to survive, how to function, how to operate. One man doing work with black men around psychology issues, and I asked about the toughest part about working in integrated society. He says that it was never the job. I keep hearing it over and over again. He says the roughest part of the entire job was when they said, let's go to happy hour. See, I had to work the hardest at happy hour, trying to be happy. With some folk I didn't want to be happy with. Do you not understand that when I get happy, I'm happy when I'm away from you? I'm not happy with you. I'm happy to get away from you. They would, let's go out, let's go. We're not going anywhere. Let's go have fun. I don't have fun. I work with you. I have fun with my own people.